And right, so there we have it. The recommissioning of this Norvil 850 Mark III Commando is now completed, and I'm very, very happy with the result. So this is a Norvil Commando. So let's just remind ourselves what that is. So Norvil, the company, they take an old Commando and they will completely rebuild it and upgrade it to your personal spec, or rather they did do. I think at the moment they've stopped doing them, and I don't know if they're going to restart doing that service. I think it used to take a couple of years, waiting list to have yours done, and I think it was there was such a waiting list that in the end they've stopped doing them because they were just getting bogged down with so much work. I'm not sure, but I don't think you can order one now. Anyway, so this was ordered, took a couple of years to be made, and was delivered about 10 years ago in 2012. Then, from what I understand, the chap who'd ordered it rode it down to France, but by the time he got there and he rode it around a bit, but decided he didn't like it, and apparently he found it too heavy a bike and too tall for him. I think he was perhaps getting on a bit by then, I'm not sure. Anyway, he rode just over 900 miles on it and then put it in his sort of barn in his house in France, and it stood there for 10 years completely, just stood, not moved for 10 years. So it's virtually brand new, but it had been standing for 10 years, not covered, etc. So our job was to sort of recommission it, bring it back to its original beauty. It mainly was suffering from corrosion and dirt and one thing and another, and it was, anyway, we did a full service and so on. We'll come on to that. But before we come on to that, let's consider what is a Norvil. Now, I'm not 100% sure on every sort of upgrade, but this is what I understand. So the bike would be completely stripped down and then completely rebuilt with new pistons and sort of rebore. Then you'd have new valves springs, crankshaft reground, super blend bearings fitted, and there's a few option extras which I'll come on to later that you could specify. But it's got standard gearbox, but with an uprated lay shaft bearing on the gearbox. And then this particular bike has a belt drive fitted to the primary chain, and I think it's a lighter diaphragm clutch fitted. It's also got the very high power starter motor, which really does spin the engine over very quickly. It's got brand new AMAL Mark I carbs fitted, but they're not Premier carbs, but they're new AMALs. And then it's been converted to the air filter from I think it's from a Mark II, is it? Because the Mark III used to have this massive black, huge air filter. So that's been removed, and the Mark II air filter has been fitted instead. Then it's got a new exhaust system without the balance pipe and P-shooter silencers, new shock absorbers, new isolastic suspension, wheels with stainless spokes, polished hubs, and in this case stainless rims, and all the forks are reconditioned. Then it's got an uprated Norvil front brake on with a floating disc, and yeah, let's see, and what else. Then there's a few other possible upgrades, and we know that this bike has had some of them. You could choose as an optional upgrade belt drive, and they've chosen that. You can also have titanium valve spring tops. I don't think these are titanium. I think these are steel. Obviously it's all got new valves and that anyway. Oh yeah, another option was to have all stainless steel nuts and bolts throughout, and that's another option that the owner specified. So that's great, because this bike did suffer a lot from tarnishing and slowly rusting over that 10 years, and the nuts and bolts on this bike would look really bad by now if they weren't stainless steel, but they are. So that's good. Obviously new rear shocks. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay. What else? Oh yeah. Now another option you could specify would be an automatic timing chain tensioner. Now I've had a quick look. I've not taken the timing case off. I've had a look, but I don't think this has got an automatic timing chain tensioner fitted. It's obviously a brand new timing chain, etc. But from what I can see, it's a standard tensioner. Electronic ignition fitted as standard. This one is the Payson. You've also got the combined regulator rectifier unit, the Boyer unit, which is more efficient to charge the battery. So the old Zener diodes and the regulator rectifier have gone. So it's got a brand new modern regulator rectifier unit. Obviously, it's got a new horn, which is fitted in a different place. Tank, obviously everything repainted and so on. They also fitted a high power headlight, halogen headlight. New clocks fitted. I'm not sure, these are just aftermarket clocks. Oops, I'm getting the camera in the right place. Aftermarket clocks fitted. I'm not sure what make they are. It's a sort of aftermarket job. Right. Also, you could specify things like a one-piece crankshaft. Now, the thing is, there are some options like that I do not know whether it is had or whether it's just got the standard crankshaft, because like the one-piece crankshaft is an optional extra. You could also have a bigger bore. You could have higher compression. You can specify certain things. The problem is that Norvil, for whatever reason, only keep records of the bikes they built for 6 years. So, of course, this bike is 10 years old, so any records to go with what happened to this bike, what was done to it, are gone. So that's why, I don't know. There's some optional extras that you can request, but I'm not sure if they've been fitted or not. Like, obviously, one-piece crankshaft, I have no idea until you take the thing apart. But obviously, the owner specified some optional extras, the uprated brake and the stainless steel and so on. And the belt drive. So what other option extras they chose, that you can't see, I don't know. Anyway, that's the Norvil, but it's been standing for 10 years. So then we had to recommission it. So what did we do? We took off all the parts that had been rusted, like the sort of the kickstart and the footrest sort of bars, whatever they're called, and all the indicator stems. They're the things that seem to suffer most in terms of the chrome. And we took those off and had those re-chromed. Then we taken the tank apart and cleaned all the tank out from all the old petrol and sorted out the non-locking, the petrol cap. We couldn't get in because it was locking, so you can get into it now anyway. Then we've taken the carbs off and we cleaned those out. We fitted a new air filter. We drained the oil and put new oil in, adjusted the tappets, fitted a new spin-on air filter, a new spin-on oil filter, and we checked the oil filter that's under the engine and cleaned that and put that back on. We topped up the gearbox oil. Everything has been taken off and took off all the Z plates and everything because it was all a bit of a mess. Because it had just been standing uncovered and it was just grimy and pretty horrible. So we cleaned we polished all the exhaust, polished all the Z plates, polished the various engine covers back up. When we had, as part of that, we had a sticking, the actual mechanism from the starter motor was jamming, wasn't working properly. And so we stripped that, lubricated it back up, and it's now fine. I'm trying to remember what else have we done. Oh yeah, of course, we fitted brand new tyres. I mean, it had new, in inverted commas, tyres on, but they were actually 12 years old because they were already 2 years old, when they were fitted. So in the interest of safety, we've got brand new Road Rider tyres fitted. And then we also fitted an oil pressure gauge. So we know we've got oil pressure, we don't have to worry about that. and we fitted all LED bulbs to the warning lights, and we fitted a new high power and very expensive, I might add, LED bulb to replace the halogen bulb that was in there, because the LED bulb will take a lot less current. I think that's just about everything we've done. Obviously just cleaned everything up and just checked everything. Yeah, new oil, yeah, done all that. Just any little things, like we found problems with the wiring and so on. Things that weren't quite right, we tied it up. Obviously done all the tappets. We've probably done other things I can't remember that I've looked at over the various videos we've done. And so yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's it's a beautiful bike. It's on sale. It'll be on sale. I think he's got the owner. I'm not the owner. I've just been doing the work for him. The new owner, that is. He managed to buy it from that original chap in France who didn't like it. And I think it's going on sale in the spring. But if anyone's interested, you can get in touch. I think the owner's looking for about £15,000 for it, which I think is, perfectly reasonable for what it is. It's a brand new bike in many ways. I'm actually I'll compare it with my bike. I'll just do a quick, which is under plastic, because it'll be interesting actually to compare it. I know you can't really see mine at the moment, but I will get mine out. I'll move everything round and I'll put the two bikes side by side, because I think it'll be an interesting comparison between the two, the one I rebuilt and the one that Norvil rebuilt. Okay, yeah. So there we have it, and make a beautiful bike. Whoever buys it will have a fantastic bike. Okay, well, I think it's about time we stop talking and started the bike up. So I'm just going to start it up briefly because we're in the garage. The problem is that we're in the middle of a massive cold snap here. It's massive snow outside. It's all icy. There's no way I can get a bike outside, even onto the drive. So I happen to start it in here. So I'm just going to give it a brief start up now. It gets very fumy in here very quickly. But we will be giving the bike a proper start. Well, hopefully, depending on the weather. This cold snap is due to last here for the whole of next week. So I'm hoping. But my intention is, to get out obviously and give the bike a ride out. But it's now coming up to Christmas. The weather forecast is not looking great. We've got all the the gritters are out. There's snow out there at the moment. Anyway, what we're going to do for now is just start the bike up. So petrol on. I've just tickled both carbs. Choke on full because it's freezing down here. Make sure we're on run on the kill switch. Ignition on. Press the button and let's see what happens. Bit fumy. Oh dear, very fumy. Just hang on, I'm going to have to open the garage door before I die. Oh. Whew. Right, yeah, that's great. Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, there was, you might have heard some rattling. It's actually the stand that rattles, the hoist, and that's why I moved my foot onto it to try and stop it rattling. Anyway, that sounds great. Really, really pleased with it. We'll give it a proper run up in future. I'll check the timing and then we'll try and balance the carbs and so on. You know, that's great. Sounds really nice, goes really well. No smoke and stuff coming out of the exhaust, apart from massive exhaust fumes. Yeah, so really very pleased with the whole thing. Great stuff.